Okay, let's hold on. Okay, so I feel like Marina and I just may have broken up, and the reason why is because hold on, I'm gonna get my music on. Okay, I think it was something I didn't even see, which is that she cheated on me, and I just kind of like glossed over it, like it was no big deal. And it was at the very beginning. She basically, you know, uh, called me. Like I called her actually, and she said, "I want to marry you. I love you." And she had already said she was my girlfriend. She said, "I'll be one of your five girlfriends," because I said I wanted to have five girlfriends. She said, "I'll be one of them." And then she had her first date with me on the phone. She said, "I love you. I want to marry you." And I was like, "Yeah, you're amazing." And then she basically, out of the blue, said, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend and I can't be with you." And then she sent me a cat picture after Todd died, like implying that she still watches my videos, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then she said, "Okay, I broke up with my boyfriend and now let's be together again." And I said, "Okay." And I just kind of forgave that whole like cheating thing, because I'm lonely and I'm desperate and I like being abused and I like being mistreated. And when people gaslight me and are mean to me, it actually turns me on. And so I was just like, "Okay, cool, let's be together." And then she said, "I want to be your only girlfriend," even though she had already at the beginning said she would be one of five. And then she said, "I will not dump you unless you cheat on me or do something really bad." And that to me showed me that she didn't even acknowledge that she cheated on me to begin with. She just had some way of equivocating it or some way of making it make sense in her head. I'm guessing she said we were just starting out seeing each other, so it was okay. It was like it didn't count or something. Somehow it would have translated to, well, it didn't count. And then tonight we were talking about visiting. She had been saying she was going to come visit me. And she had also been saying that she wanted to like marry me, which would imply that we would live together. She had said, "Let's run away together." And then she changed it to, "I was thinking I might want to live with you one day, but if you do drugs, that sucks." And so, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then tonight, she said, "Instead of me visiting you, why don't you visit me? Because I can't actually visit you because it's just too scary to go on an airplane and my family wouldn't like it." And I said, "Well, why did you say that you would visit me before? And now what changed? Because I feel like you don't love me." And she said, "No, I do love you. I'm in love with you. Why would you think I don't love you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't pieced it together yet." "Well, the reason why is because you fucking cheated on me. And then you told me that you would dump me if I cheated on you, which implies that you don't even have remorse. You don't even feel like guilt or anything for that." And I had been kind of mean to her sometimes because I had resentment from that, but I hadn't actually pieced it together what it was. And I hadn't factored in that I actually like being abused and it turns me on. And part of me actually really enjoys the trauma bond. And so tonight she was saying, "Okay, you should visit me because I'm not going to visit you." And then she was saying, "I'll visit you later. You visit me first and then I'll visit you, because if you visit me first, then my family could see you. They can see you're not so bad, and then they could let me go visit you." And I said, "Okay, but what changed? Like before you were going to visit me and now all of a sudden I have to visit you? That's not cool." And she said, "Well, I'll pay for half of your ticket, half of your expenses, the hotel room and like whatever the travel expenses is, I will pay for half of it." So that put my mind at ease, and I thought, okay, great, you care about me. And plus, I think polyamory is the most good way of dealing with people. So when someone cheats, I think, well, that's cool anyway, because polyamory is cool anyway. But the thing that bothers me about it is the hypocrisy of saying, well, I can cheat on you, but you can't cheat on me. So I had this kind of red flag in my head going on where I was saying, what changed? Why did all of a sudden I was supposed to get you visiting me, but now it's me having to visit you? Like, why is it all of a sudden changing? Because I'm really suspicious now. I have it already triggered in my head that if you say something that's kind of a little bit off, it's going to remind me of that first time when you said that we were together and then you cheated on me with your now ex-boyfriend. And so she said, well, the reason why is because I never actually thought it through. I thought that it would be cool for me to visit you, but really, now that I really think about it, my family would actually freak out. So it's better that you come visit me and get a hotel room, because my family won't let you stay with me unless we're married. You can't sleep over unless we're married. And, you know, I think so little of marriage. I'd say, well, if it's cheaper to get married than to get a hotel room, let's just get married. And let's just get a prenup, which is probably more expensive. So let's just get a hotel room. But, you know, and I said, a prenup isn't unromantic. It's just keeping finances separate. And so basically I was like, I think you don't trust me. You know, I don't feel good about that. If you're afraid to be alone with me, then I don't feel like you even love me. But I don't think that's what it was. I think it was that I was afraid she was changing her story, which reminded me of being cheated on that first time. And I said, why are you apprehensive about me visiting you? Well, I can't remember how she was apprehensive about it. She said, I think I might not be freaky enough for you, because I was talking about, like, you know, doing some butt stuff. And, you know, I said, but not if you eat chicken, you know. And, you know, she's like, I'm just worried that I'm not freaky enough for you. And I said, well, are you saying that you don't want me to expect that we're going to have sex if I visit? And she said, no, we'll have sex. I just want it to be spiritual. And I said, isn't it spiritual already? And she said, I guess. I said, I guess? That doesn't sound very spiritual. She said, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to bed. Good night. And I said, that doesn't sound very spiritual. I guess. That sounds like apathy. That doesn't sound like a spiritual connection. And it's like a drive-by apathetic comment. Like, I guess. Anyway, bye. I'm not even going to give you a chance to respond. Bye. And so it really triggered me. And so I just sent her a message, basically, which is like, I don't think she's going to respond. You know, I don't want to put any self-fulfilling prophecy on her. But everything after the but is ego, you know, so I don't know about how valid this statement is. But I felt like when I said this to her, like I just texted this to her now and she's sleeping, I said, basically, you cheated on me and it really hurt me and you don't acknowledge it and you have no remorse. And when you say that we don't have a spiritual connection, that's because you have been treating me like my feelings don't matter. And if I say that to you, you'll actually say, well, what are you talking about? And if I go right down to the root of it and say, because you cheated on me, I don't actually expect that you'll even acknowledge that. I expect more so that you'll just gloss over it and say some kind of excuse. Now, if that's your case, that you're just going to make some kind of excuse, then you're pretty much right that there's not that much of a spiritual connection, and I'm trying to have a spiritual connection, and it's actually your fault that we don't have a spiritual connection, because I'm trying to express that I feel like you don't love me, and you're saying, but I do love you, and why would you think otherwise? And I'm like, well, because you cheated on me and you don't even acknowledge it, so why would I? By the way, the reason I'm wearing sunglasses right now is because I don't have my eyelid tape on. Okay, I'm not trying to be cool. I just didn't want to do my eyelid tape. But anyways, so I just texted her this and I was like, can you even admit that this is the situation, that you cheated on me? Like, can you even admit that? And can you accept then that if you can't admit that, then what we have together is a trauma bond where I like being abused by you. And that's ultimately strictly sexual, and it's devoid of real love. Can you even accept that the reason I'd see you like a fleshlight is because you're acting like one? I mean, those are the kind of words that I would worry are going to break us up. And I thought of Osho, who says it should go both ways. If you have multiple girlfriends, your girlfriend should have multiple boyfriends. If you have only one girlfriend, then your only one girlfriend should have only one boyfriend. And I thought, how fair is that? That you can cheat on me, but I can't cheat on you? That you don't even acknowledge it? And I know Osho would say, rip the Band-Aid off fast if you have to. And she is really hot, and I really want to have sex with her, and I haven't had sex in like 8 years. But at the same time, I also don't want an unspiritual relationship. And I don't particularly want a trauma bond either. I don't particularly want abusive relationships. As much as they turn me on, I feel like it's a bad idea to have an abusive relationship. Even though it's pretty much all I ever fantasize about. Getting to know her has made me open my heart, and it has made me better than an abusive relationship. Even though she hasn't acknowledged the fact that she cheated, I have still been equivocating on her behalf, just like she equivocates, like, well, I didn't cheat, it doesn't count. I have been doing that for her as well in my own mind, so that I can believe that we have a loving relationship. And I've been doing this so authentically, fakely. I've been believing my own lies so much that my heart has really been opening, and I've been moving beyond trauma bond fantasies to actual love fantasies. And it's actually becoming real for me that I want real love and not a trauma bond. And so I think that it is more healthy to say the thing that would potentially break us up and break up the trauma bond, even though sexually speaking, that's what I really, really love. I ultimately think that if I just stick with the trauma bond, it will keep me obsessed with sex. Because if you have sex without love, you stay obsessed with sex. And sex is the bondage when you're obsessed with it, when you don't move to a higher rung of your ladder, of your chakras. Sex is the bondage that keeps you stuck for the longest when you're stuck in it. And the way it works, the way the obsession with sex works, is that you have sex with people who you don't love. And how can I love her if she cheated on me and doesn't even acknowledge it? How can I feel like we're equals if I realize it and she doesn't? And then do I even go a step further and say the reason she doesn't realize it is because she just doesn't care? And I almost feel like she so genuinely doesn't realize it that I don't even blame her. That I say, well, it's fine because you don't even realize. But I realize. And what does that say about me if I say, well, you don't even realize, so it's fine. I'll just, have some sleazy, sweaty, gross sex with you. And right at the moment of busting, I'll go, oh my God, all this for this? All this work for this? For 1 second of release? My God, what was I thinking? Something like that. You don't want to have that, right? You don't want to be obsessed with it. So I thought of Osho, and I thought, yeah, Osho would probably say, don't tolerate hypocrisy. And if that breaks you up, so be it. And yeah, do I feel like a complete loser then? Like, does she validate me a hell of a lot? Yeah. Do I feel like a total loser? Yeah, ultimately, yeah. But kind of not too. Kind of I feel like a winner. I mean, at least in my own private world, I'm friends with my family at least, and I like myself, and I liked Todd. And I like Marina too. I actually love Marina too. But, I feel like she really doesn't get it. And I don't know if it's because she doesn't care or just because she's sheltered in a certain way. She told me she's so sheltered by her family and that's why she can't visit me. But I wonder if she's sheltered in a different way, where because of how good looking she is, she's surrounded by yes men. Like a rich person, for example, has no real feedback from anyone because everyone around them is a yes man. And they're totally out to lunch and disassociated from reality because literally everyone they know just says yes to them all the time. And so when you have a beautiful woman, typically what people say about a beautiful woman is, well, she's expensive. You're not going to hear something about a beautiful woman like she's really honest, she's integral, she's spiritual. You won't hear that. The thing you'll mostly hear about a beautiful woman is she's expensive. And I think because she's so beautiful, she's so sheltered that she really doesn't get it that she cheated. Like she's really just like, well, it's okay if I do it, but not you. And that's totally, I don't know. It's confusing for me because I do love being abused and I do love being traumatized. And at the same time, part of me is saying, but I've also loved her genuinely for this whole week, even though I've had my issues and I've thought, I don't really trust you and I think you're going to dump me. And she keeps saying, I'm not going to dump you. Why would you think that? And I'm like, I can't tell you why I think that because I don't even think you'd acknowledge my reason. And I feel like you're diminishing my feelings. But I've really been being honest with her. And because I've been doing that, I've been getting the rewards of love and my heart has been opening. And so I feel really thankful to her and really thankful to myself that I've been acting in a good, integral way. And it's been giving me the benefit of opening my heart and getting beyond the trauma bond. And that's actually giving me the strength to say the thing that she might break up with me for. Because I don't know if it's going to go well. I don't know if it's going to go well. I don't know if she's going to say, yeah, I cheated on you. And, I get it now that's why you don't trust anything I say. And I'm really sorry. I don't know if she's going to say that. She might just say, what are you talking about? When did I cheat on you? And I'll have to go, okay, it was this time. And she'll go, no, it was, or, something like that. Or she might just make me explain, when are you talking about? When was it again? Or, and I'm like feeling like a complete embarrassment then, saying, okay, let me just go through the logs, and it was back here, and it was this time, and you said, and it would humiliate me having to explain that. I would feel like, are you gaslighting me? Like, is this just an example of you not caring and you trying to defer responsibility and just put it off or something? And then making me feel like the bad guy, like the complainer, and like, God, you're so sensitive. Why are you doing this? Like, babe, I love you. Okay. Why are you acting like I don't love you? Like, is it just going to be that? Is it going to be, babe, I love you? Why would you act like I don't love you? Don't you know I love you? And I'm like, have you ever heard the song by Annie Lennox called No More I Love Yous? Have you ever heard that song? And so, I can't believe I just said this to her. I was just like, flat out, like, can you even admit that you did this? And that if you feel no spiritual connection, that's why? Can you even admit that? And can I believe that I just said this to her, knowing that it might break us up? It's 5 a.m. Do you know how you are when you're in a tired delirium and you're somehow more connected to reality? I'm in one of those states. It's like past my bedtime, I need to go to bed. And I'm so kind of, I don't know, almost dissociated from my feelings. So I can see things more clearly in a sense. Because I've been planning on tomorrow stopping eating for 30 days to save up the money to go visit her. And all of a sudden, after tonight, when she was like, why do you think I'm going to dump you? I'm not going to dump you. It just suddenly clicked. I was like, because you cheated. Doi. It literally didn't even factor into my head. I literally didn't even realize it until tonight. Until I actually thought, okay, I'm going to stop eating now for 30 days to water fast, which I want to do anyway, and to save up the money to visit you. And I thought, my God, am I just, and then she said, I want it to be spiritual. I said, isn't it spiritual? She said, I guess. And then I said, that's not spiritual. And then she said, the reason you thought that is because I wasn't talking on a voice recording. And if you would have heard my tone of voice, you would have known that I meant it, that it is spiritual. And I thought, that sounds like bullshit. And it just triggered me. I was like, Doi, like all of a sudden you cheated on me. Oh my God. We haven't really been together for 8 days. We've been together from before then, but I only started counting recently after we got together again, after you cheated on me. And we're talking about moving in together and having a life together. And I'm supposed to believe that you're not going to cheat on me again when you don't even acknowledge it the first time. Okay, that's going to really hurt my feelings. So I just brought this up to her. I don't know how it's going to go. I know I'm repeating myself now. I just can't believe this. I'm going to be terrified to check my messages tomorrow. I'm going to be fucking terrified. So anyways, that's what I think. And man, do I ever feel devalidated? Do I ever feel devalidated? I can't even tell you how fucking devalidated I feel. The only thing I have is myself. I have my relationships too, but ultimately those don't really mean anything. The only thing I have is myself. And I told Marina that my relationship with her is the best one I've ever had in my life. And it was true. And the reason why it's true is because she's really great. She's really hot. But a large factor of it, I think the most significant factor of it, is that I'm being honest. And it's having a transformational effect on me. So on the outside, as far as the world is concerned, I do not feel validated. I feel totally forgotten by the world. I feel like nobody loves me. But I love myself, and I think family loves me, but family aren't really real people in a sense, you know what I mean? So, but, ultimately the only thing I have is my own self-love. And that's pretty difficult sometimes. But in another sense, it's like, well, that's all you really have anyway. In the very end analysis, you really only have your own approval. In the very, very end, it's really all you have anyway, and anything else is a delusion. So I'm sticking with my guns here, and I hope it goes well. Many of times throughout this week, I've thought it was our last day together, and I've cried, and then I've thought, oh my God, we're back together. So I'm trying not to go that route of saying, well, it's always worked out in the past, so it's going to work out tomorrow. I'm trying not to just take it for granted that we're together. I'm trying to have a real willingness to let it end if that's what's supposed to happen. I'm trying to do what's supposed to happen. I'm not trying to do what I want to happen. And that's being loyal to God. So, yeah, it was a difficult conversation that I just had. And I'm fucking really scared how she's going to respond. I'm really fucking scared how she's going to respond. Okay. Goodbye.